Greetings, and welcome. Welcome to the live. Welcome. Happy Friday to you, wherever you are, and welcome to the live. Today we're talking about solitude and the importance of solitude for empaths after escaping narcissistic abuse. So this is what we're gonna be talking about today. So welcome in. Happy Friday to you, wherever you are. And don't forget to tell somebody about this live. So today we're talking about how empaths, can use solitude to escape from narcissistic abuse. This is the focus today, right? How empaths escape narcissistic abuse. Hey, the biggest, how you doing? Welcome. Happy Friday. Tell somebody. So we're talking about solitude as the portal. Why your awakening requires isolation. So this is an expose on how solitude, whether you create it or whether it happens, is the path towards your own healing. How solitude accelerates your own healing. So that's what we're going to go into today. And welcome. Looking forward to this deep expose with you. So we're going to go into a deep understanding of solitude, why it happens, what you can do about it, how it accelerates your healing, right? And this is what we're talking about. So come on in and tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody. Welcome in. Tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody. Hi, Sierra. How you doing? Today is about solitude as the portal. How solitude shifts you into healing. And while you're awakening, depending on where you are on the journey, requires isolation. So that's what we're going to get into today. And we're just gathering around, waiting for people to come on in. But this is what we're talking about. We're talking about how solitude accelerates your healing. Hey, I'm glad you're joining from Rhode Island. DZTV, welcome aboard. And for everyone who's joining, glad you're here. So we're talking today about solitude. How solitude is the portal for your freedom. Why your awakening requires isolation. This is what we're talking about today on all portals. So welcome in. This is what we're talking about. How solitude is the portal. Blessed for life. You've been in solitude for 3.5 years. I get it. So we're going to talk about more about what this is and how you can use it. So we're talking today about solitude as the portal to your awakening and why your awakening requires isolation. So we're going to go into everything related to awakening and isolation and why sometimes when you awaken, it may seem like you're stuck in some isolation. Hi, Isabel. Greetings to you. You had to go to hermit mode. I get it. And so we're going to talk about this in a bit more detail, right? And what this means. So tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody. This is going to be for empaths who are going through escaping narcissistic abuse or have escaped narcissistic abuse and want to understand the utility of solitude or what some call hermit mode. Hey, John, how you doing? This is what we're going to get into today. So get ready, get comfortable, and we're just going to start in a couple of minutes. Just waiting for a few more people to gather around. I'm so glad you're free, Sierra. This is amazing. You were away from your ex for a year and it changed your life. We want to hear more about it, right? I'm going to speak for about 10, maybe 15 minutes, after which we can open it up for questions. And if you're on Instagram, you can just join, ask a video question when it's time to do so. Same thing on Instagram as well. And then on YouTube, we'll continue to read your text. So we're talking about solitude as the portal and why your awakening requires isolation. That's what we're going to talk about. So let me get started. You see? So by way of introduction, my name is Dr. Nana Gyesie, and I strictly work with, it's a chrysalis, exactly, empaths, leaders, and soul-level visionaries who are on the journey of inner mastery. And the transmission we're offering today is for those who are in between, where your friends are falling away, the job no longer fits. I get it. The job no longer fits. Your old world no longer feels like home. right? Hey, Don Marie, good to see you. Yet the new one hasn't appeared yet. And the reality is you're not lost. You are in solitude. And solitude is a sacred corridor between identities, between your old self that is ending or has ended, and the new self. Thank you for the hearts and all that. I really appreciate the gifts. And you're really navigating this old world and new world. So let's start with understanding what solitude exactly is. What is solitude? And solitude is not necessarily the absence of other people in your life. It's actually the presence of your true self in its most purest, most unadulterated form. So we know in the Western world, solitude is often pathologized because you should go to the happy hour, you should be out with people, you should go to the dinners. But in truth, it is spiritually engineered silence, which is a tuning chamber designed by your soul to recalibrate your vibration. So, in studies on a default mode network, which is basically the cycle that you get trapped in, when you go into solitude, the brain activates an introspective state. And that's the state of your mind that's responsible for mental time travel, for identity construction, and for spiritual reflection. And without solitude, your default mode is drowned by external stimuli. However, with solitude, your soul's internal signal becomes clearer and more audible. You see, this is what it is. And in sacred geometry, solitude is equivalent to what's called the Vesica Pisces, which is the fertile space between two intersecting circles. It is the space in which duality or separation dissolves and creation begins. And specifically among the Ashanti in Ghana, which I have some lineage to, the priest or the high priest undergoes what's called ritual isolation before receiving a vision. So solitude is not a void, it's the house of the ancestors. And solitude is the lab for divine instruction, right? It's the first rite of passage as you start becoming the author of your own field. So somebody asks, okay, fine, we understand the definition of solitude, but why does solitude happen on the awakening journey? Why? And solitude happens on the awakening journey primarily for divine deconstruction, for spiritual reconstruction, right? DZTV, for divine deconstruction, for spiritual reconstruction. In other words, you don't choose solitude. Solitude is something that is orchestrated by your soul when the external world no longer matches your internal frequency, Lindsay. When your internal world no longer matches the external world, your soul will require solitude so that you can come into coherence between the internal and the external. Also, empaths are often raised in environments of enmeshment and survival conformity, and the ego becomes the shield. But awakening dissolves that shield, and the soul must reclaim its original energetic blueprint after the ego has been deconstructed. So in family systems theory, this is what's defined as differentiation of self. Well, how do you get back to healing during no contact? Lindsay, this is what we're talking about, right? So the differentiation of self is the ability to separate one's identity from group emotional fusion. And that's just how you start to stand alone, where you do not require external validation. And solitude is is a required space for differentiation, how you become your true self, your different self, right? So this is also called apoptosis in biology, right? In other words, apoptosis is a programmed cellular death for organismal renewal. What does that mean? It means your identity structure behaves in the same way. Old relational contracts must die to regenerate your life field. I understand you have to have contact. I get it. Sometimes no contact is not available to everyone. The other part of this is quantum disentanglement. When you go through solitude, you know, we think about quantum incoherence and decoherence, where entangled particles lose coherence. Spiritually, when you go into solitude, you mirror what's called decoherence. Your entanglements with the false self, with false timelines, with false relationships dissolve, leaving you as a sovereign particle. You see? And so this is how you start to transition from the old self to the new self, or what some call becoming born again, right? And then in Sufism, this is also known, there's something known as Khalwa. So for Sufi practitioners here, just let me know. When you go through Khalwa, Khalwa is a 40-day spiritual seclusion for divine clarity. So you realize that the soul is the mirror and solitude is what polishes the mirror. Therefore, solitude, if you're alone or you feel like the people around you are all gone, this is not disconnection. It's your soul going through a filtration process. Exactly, DZTV. They're not going to rise with me last time, so I'm trying to recalibrate. Yes, because that's what they do when they can trigger you to get supply. So the point is to get to a point where you're no longer triggerable. So the point is solitude is not disconnection. And it's how your soul, hey Yvonne, it's how your soul goes through this filtration process so that what is real remains and everything that's false gets cleared away. So let's talk about solitude a bit in the context of rebirth. So when you look at chaos theory or thermodynamics, meaning everything's always moving, every complex system must destabilize before it reorganizes, right? And just look at Elon Musk and Donald Trump. So when you think about the theory of dissipative structures, it states that the only path to a more complex organized state is through temporary breakdown. So if your life feels like it's falling apart, if your calendar feels empty, your social life feels empty, if your inbox is quiet, that's good because you're in what's called preform. We're not taught, how can we be taught this, Mr. Harris, right? You're in what's called preform. And you are the event horizon of reconfiguration from the old self to the new self. Am I making sense? You got to tell me if I'm making sense. Isabel, John, is this connecting? Kat, am I making sense? Retro God, tell me, is this making sense? Right? If what has been your experience of solitude? So solitude is preformed before you become the new person. So from a quantum lens, thank you, Julie, thank you. From a quantum lens, solitude. Thank you, Denise. Thank you so much. Thank you, Miss Wonder Woman. Thank you very much. Thank you, Amanda. That makes sense. Thank you, Yvonne. So, from a quantum lens, solitude is a vacuum, seemingly empty, and this whole concept of emptiness also comes from from Buddhism. But emptiness is full of creative potential, and emptiness in the Hindu cosmology is known as shunyata or shunyata, which is the void space from which the Brahma, the divine in you, dreams the next reality into being. In other words, you cannot recraft your next being away from the narcissistic false self without going through a process of not being validated by external stimuli. I mean, you got to tell me, Yvonne, am I making this up? So in spiritual physics, this is called the 0-point field contact. And this is how you're clearing the old for the new, Dawn Marie. This is how you clear the old from the new. So again, solitude has been an initiation across civilizations. For example, I'll give you some. In the Dogon cosmology, so the Dogon people from Benin who discovered Sirius B and all that, right? They initiate. So before you grow, you go through an initiation and you enter a cave to receive the secret word. Now, this word is not spoken, it's felt. And the secret cave of isolation is sort of a symbolic withdrawal from tribal frequency. So one can hear ancestral transmission. And in fact, you even see this in one of my favorite movies, A Long Walk to Freedom, which is about Mandela, played by Idris Elba. In one of the opening scenes, you see the young boy Mandela who's rubbed with this white chalkish thing, and they go through an initiation, they bathe in the river, and he comes out as this grown-up person. That's an example. That scene, the opening scene in the movie, is a metaphor for what I'm talking about, right? Using the Dogon example. And also in the Kabbalah, there's this thing about God performing what's known as a tzimtzum, which is a divine contraction to make space for creation. Solitude is your personal tzimtzum, your contract from the world to birth inner light. Or if you're Christian, in the Bible, in the beginning, it says, in the beginning there was just darkness and void. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and God was the Word. There was just darkness everywhere. That darkness is what the Buddhists call emptiness. And that's what I'm talking about. Solitude brings you to that same darkness that is in the beginning of the Bible, that the Buddhists call emptiness or shunyata, that the Hindus also call shunyata. right? It's also how sort of a pre-form for how in the Bible it says Christ goes to the desert alone before beginning his ministry for 40 days. Because in every mythology, solitude precedes power. Because power that's not sourced in solitude becomes performance. Power that's not sourced in solitude becomes performance. And solitude is the forge of your authentic mission. See? So, what happens to the body when you go through solitude? How does it feel? Because the body keeps score. We talk about that quite a bit. And it's important to realize for those who are struggling with narcissistic relationships, whether especially familial narcissistic relationships, and enlightenment, well said, realizing that you have to let go to ascend. This is what happens in your body. When you go through solitude, solitude repairs your nervous system. Because remember, under narcissistic abuse, your nervous system was under constant assault. So when you go through solitude, in polyvagal theory, you might be grieving, you're right, Nikki, but solitude activates your vagal nerve, the vagal complex, which is the part of your body connected to your from your brain stem to other parts of your body that regulates your body for safety, for connection, and social engagement from within, but not for others. The other thing that happens to your body in solitude is your brain goes through a rebalancing because solitude quiets your amygdala. Just imagine going to sit by a waterfall and listen to the sounds of the water. Can you worry whilst you're sitting by a waterfall? You cannot. Can you worry whilst you're walking bare feet at the beach? You cannot. So solitude quiets the amygdala, which is the fear center, and it quiets it by decreasing your fear response and hypervigilance. And therefore, it strengthens your prefrontal cortex, which increases your executive function, your intuition. It's a time for discovery and restoration. Exactly, Yvonne. This is what happens. And the other thing that happens to your body in solitude, beyond nervous system repair and balancing your brain, is what's called an epigenetic reset. Exactly, Abby. An epigenetic reset. So we know trauma is passed on not only through what you observe and nurture, but also what's passed on in your DNA. And extended solitude can really influence your gene expression. And if you want to learn more about this, check out the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton, who talks about gene expression and trauma. So specifically, research from that's been done shows that when you go into contemplative solitude, it downregulates inflation-related genes in your body. So solitude is good for your health, your cellular health. So your body is not resistant in solitude. Your body in solitude is reorganizing itself to match your soul's new instruction set. You see what I'm saying? And so when you go into solitude, you're no longer who you used to be, but you're not yet who you will become, Yvonne. And so you have to wield this power to become this new form. And it's often said in mathematics, particularly fractal mathematics, that the deeper you go into a pattern, the more order you find. You know, if you see those repeating patterns, which is how the I don't know if any of you have seen Inner Worlds and Outer Worlds. If you haven't seen Inner Worlds and Outer Worlds, which is about sacred geometry, check it out. But you begin to see in fractals, the deeper you go into the pattern, the more order is there. Because solitude reveals that you're not random. You're not. You're a structured complexity repeating divinity. You are a structured complexity repeating divinity. And that's not emptiness. So when you go into solitude, you're not withdrawing. You are entering and coming into communion with your original source code. I just said something there, but it's not for everybody. Let me say it again. Yvonne. When you go into solitude, you're not withdrawing. You are entering the original source code. Am I talking to myself? Somebody tell me I'm connecting with you. Right? Katrina. Hey, Liz from New York. Hey, Danelle. How Cat? This is what it is. We are all knowledgeable and wise. You taking advantage of all the knowledge that's out there because knowledge is power. You see? So when you withdraw, you're going back to the mother lode. Well said. You said it. So I don't know if you know this, Jeff Light or Joe, but solitude sharpens your manifestation. Let me explain. When your frequency is uncorrupted by external projections, your manifestation field becomes pure. So in other words, when you're not projected by toxicity and manipulation and gaslighting and guilt, you can clearly manifest. And in quantum mechanics, it is said that the observer collapses the wave function, right? So intention becomes a physical stuff. How to remove all that stuff is my issue. We'll get to it, and you can ask any questions when I end in about 5 minutes or so. So when the observer is entangled in fear, people pleasing, and unresolved trauma, you collapse and lead to more of that. Similarly, when solitude purifies you from the observer effect, you become a clean transmuter of your soul's desires. So whatever you want that's good for you begins to manifest, not as visualization, but as a frequency reality generation, because you see, everything you want already exists. So the question is, why don't I have what it is that I want? Because a part of you says, I don't deserve it and I don't want it and I'm not resonant to it. And this is what happens when you come into solitude, that those external validations go away and you become the author of the now. Because solitude is when the soul takes its pen back. Exactly, blessed for life, from conditioning it. Because you're not here to reenact your family's drama or societal expectations, although it feels like it, right? You are here to author a new harmonic frequency, Joe. And in narrative psychology, this is called self-authorship. Self-authorship is the final stage of individuation, according to Carl Jung. Exactly, Yvonne. Solitude enables us to connect to the source code. It cleans the slate. That's what neuroplasticity is about. You see? So you become a clean manifester. And you no longer chase, you no longer have to prove, you no longer have to explain, right? You no longer have to seek validation because you start to create from internal alignment. And as I said in the Tao, or the Tao Te Ching, silence is the source of great strength, Abby. Silence is the source of great strength. So you realize that there are significant benefits of going into solitude. And solitude is temporary, by the way. You don't have to go live in a cave for 12 years or go to Bhutan. In other words, your solitude doesn't have to last forever, but it has to last for as long as it takes to transform you. So there is a form of temporary cyclical solitude that is needed when you start to awake from narcissistic abuse. This is when your soul or Atman or no self, right, inclines you towards a place for accelerated healing, for integration and quantum jumping into your new timeline. So how do you know this is not depression, right? Yes, we have seasons, you're right, Yvonne. And we want to clarify between feeling that you become maladaptive to society or you're depressed. The difference in this temporary solitude and some of the benefits include having what is known as energetic clarity. So even in short forms of solitude, whether it's a day or two, and I do this often, I go on silent retreats for weeks. Your solitude is working when you begin to become less anxious of other people's perceptions. When you stop rehearsing conversations in your head. I used to do that. Does anyone do that? Or did anyone do that? And you stop craving validation or reactions. That means you're already stabilizing and you're unplugging from collective noise and plugging into source, the biggest, Julie, Mo baby, right? The second benefit from solitude is you go through what's Yvonne, exactly. You go through what's known as emotional sobriety. So solitude removes the emotional intoxication that comes from chasing to avoid pain, giving to avoid pain, offering to avoid pain. Because in solitude, your nervous system settles. Your grief surfaces and clarity sharpens. And you stop reacting to people and start responding to truth. The third benefit is psychic awareness. Yo, Miss Mo baby, psychic awareness. So you begin to hear downloads, or some will call it the Holy Spirit, or your inner voice, or your inner guides. You start to learn what to intuit to release and who to release. A shift happens, exactly, Vaughn. You feel called to read certain books. No, coming to this page, Abby, like you said, you may even start to feel angelic presence around you, and sometimes I feel it, right? Why? Because your inner receptor is no longer jammed. You're now a high frequency being. That's the signature of spiritual receptivity. The other thing that happens is there's an acceleration in your timeline, right? So things that would have taken years no longer take years. You become the miracle worker in your own life. The spontaneous forgiveness, birds. I love seeing the birds that come by me. A lot of crows come by me, Jab Light. Dreams that provide direction. You have dreams. You have quantum leaps in your healing. You're not spiraling. You're jumping tracks. And in epigenetics, even temporary interventions can flip your genetic expression on and off. So when you go to solitude, what you're really doing is rewiring. I love crows. Crows are so powerful in their messages and what they stand for. You literally rewire ancestral scripts, and your soul emerges as ready to do the work. What Joseph Campbell calls returning with the elixir, right? So solitude is working when you no longer ask, when will this be over? Instead, you ask yourself questions like, what else must I see, feel, or allow before I emerge? So solitude is working when you're no longer trying to go back to who or where you were before. And you no longer feel victimized by the things that you were victimized by. So in a nutshell, this is the whole kit and caboodle in regards to the purpose of solitude, Isabel, right? You can immediately discern when someone is sincere or insincere, deceptive. This is what happens when you go through solitude, Kat, that your abilities become strong. I also used to think crows were bad side. In fact, I was terrified of crows. I used to think they forestall a death announcement. Now I know they are messengers, right? Safe space, alone but not lonely. This is exactly it. So I want to take some questions, right? If you want to ask any question live, just invite yourself on Instagram, or we'll pull in a couple of. I just pull in some random people, and if you want to come in, you come in, right? And let us know what solitude has been like for you. What has been your relationship with solitude, right? Is there anything you want to share or what you want to know? What are you struggling when it comes to solitude, right? What has been your journey like? There's a yin and yang to everything. That's that exactly, Yvonne. And in fact, I borrow from ancient Egypt a lot when it comes to the law of polarity or the Hermetic principles. That everything has a duality, and the point is to shift from duality to non-duality, where there's no separation. You see? Hey, Abby, how you doing? Hi, Abby. Can you hear us?
Doing good.
Ah, wonderful. So tell us what has happened to you.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. What's been your experience with solid? Tell us about it.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Going through a lot of family trauma. Losing my father. I'm a senior citizen. My father was even more senior. But I found myself, being kind of like head of his estate and helping my dad transfer this life. Caused a lot of stress and stuff, and I was always trying to keep the peace with family, trying to please everyone, and I withdrew. I said, the door is shut. I need to take care of me, and you all, take care of yourselves. And so that's what I did.
Wow.
And I just found the most peace being by myself and doing what needed to be done to take care of business, but not having all that other trauma coming into my life. I just felt so clear, so peaceful, so joyful.
And how do your family respond or react? Who to respond or react to your choice to be in solitude?
Well, they kind of want, we're fighting, you're depressed, and I am fine. I am fine, and you will be fine. You figure it out. You take care of yourself, and so that's what I had to do.
And how is the relationship with them now, Abby?
They are going through, some of them are going through their own mess, and others are just fine. They have come to realization that they're fine. But I just had to kind of like they say, know your no. You can't go around being a people pleaser because it destroys you, who you are.
So do you see what has happened to you, Abby? Or should I tell you?
I may still be going through some growing spurts. I don't know.
Yeah. Let me tell you what has happened. So for a long time, especially when your father was alive, you were used as the emotional regulator for your family's dysfunction. For decades. In fact, your whole life. And with your father's unfortunate situation, although you mentioned he was pretty advanced, that became clear to you and you retired from that business of being the emotional regulator, the black sheep of your family. That's why some responded by gaslighting you by saying to you, "Are you depressed? You're depressed. You're depressed." That was a gaslighting tactic. And the reason why you felt joy from it is because for the first time in your life, your identity was separate and apart from being a giver, a provider, the one who assuages everybody, to asking yourself, what does Abby want? What does Abby care about? And that's a bit of a new place. But I sense that that's the benefit of what happened with your father's estate to you, that you began to care for yourself in a way that you hadn't done before, and it's just the beginning. But I could just be making this up, Abby.
I don't think so. I think I finally realized that I can't put it into words. I cannot give you the words. The peace that I have. Woo! I cannot put it into words.
When was the last time you ever felt a peace like this, the peace you feel now?
I can't tell you.
Never. 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 Abby, why are you being coy, Abby? You've never felt it, and you've cracked the code, and this is just the beginning. And you're not selfish, you're not mean, you're just no longer available to be manipulated and gaslit by people's evil dysfunction, because that's exactly what it is. And you realize that you being a kind person was not you being less than, that this is what makes you a divine soul. But once again, Nana could just be making this up out here in Seattle, Abby. This is what has happened to you. Don't you see the whole game?
Yeah. In retrospect, if I go back and I look back, which I don't want to look back, I want to look forward.
That's beautiful. Do you know why you don't want to look back?
Because it's chaos and I don't like it.
That's how much you give away of yourself. This is how much you give away of yourself, Abby. And you have found peace and heaven right here on hell. Don't you see how amazing you are? You can't even accept it because your nervous system is still getting used to the fact that peace is actually possible. There's no one like you, Abby. I celebrate you. And don't forget to celebrate yourself. You understand me? And before you go, even though you're coy, Abby, this is for you. This is called Jaja Rantings. Translation, the spirit is in charge of everything. This is Micah Shemaiah. Jaja Rantings. And don't forget to celebrate the peace that you have, Abby, because you've earned it. And you're just getting younger. You're just getting younger.
Thank you.
And just remember, life is for the living. So live.
It's true.
Live. You hear me?
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome back anytime, Abby. Really appreciate you.
Okay.
All right. Peace, 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 peace. This is what it is. It's the time for restoration. You said it, Yvonne. This is what it's about, Isabel. This is what it's about. This is what it's about. You see, just waking up. Hey, Yvonne, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How's life in your neck of the woods?
Life is lifing in my neck.
It's lifing. Oh, boy. Oh, we don't like that. We don't deal with lifing. No, we are life.
But wait a minute. Life is lifing, but it's still good.
It always is good.
It's still good because learning more about the divine.
This is it.
I know recently on one of your lives, you were talking about coming out and re-emerging into mainstream with people. And recently, I had where God just totally snatched me out of my full-time occupation and changed my whole trajectory.
When did this happen, Yvonne?
The day after Mother's Day.
Do you know what this means? Do you know what this means?
Yes, I do know what it means.
What does it mean?
I do know what it means.
What does it mean?
It means that I'm having to refocus. There's something that he's doing that I have been blind to. He also let me know that I can get comfortable with mediocre, and mediocre is not a part of my DNA. And he had to do it that way. It's like he ripped the Band-Aid off. It's like if you had a dislocated elbow and the doctor wants to put it back in place, he has to distract you to get it back there without you knowing. You understand what I'm saying?
You know what? This will sound very strange to people listening, but I'm celebrating you, and I'll tell you why.
I am too. Yeah, it's good. I'm sorry.
Mrs. Kippleton, hurry up. Hurry up. Hurry up.
Yes.
Let me tell you what's coming up for me, Yvonne. You have a calling that you have flirted with for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And now the calling is saying, yeah, I like flirting. Yeah, this is nice. It's nice. Your soul's beautiful and nice. We love it. Yeah. But I mean, come on. I mean, are you going to get committed or are you going to still be on the sidelines? Like, well, go on. Like, what are we doing here? This is why I play the song, Hurry Up. So you are pivoting on, okay, let me take it easy. I'll get to it. We'll get there. And divine union is inevitable. So when you're delaying divine union, the divine says, come on, I'm done playing. We're doing this.
Dance is over.
And what happens is that your deeper surrender gets activated. And surrender is not inactive. It's not inaction. Surrender is the most potent act you can offer to the divine. And in surrendering, what you're saying is, and I have a great Buddhist friend who always says her name is Cheryl. It goes like this: not me, not mine, not myself. So you transition from your life being for the person, the ego, to being a servant. And if you are available to being a servant, then it means that you have connected to the divine abundant frequency that is located here.
Yeah.
And when you activate connection to that divine frequency, you lose connection to anything called fear. Because when you surrender in gratitude, it becomes impossible to be afraid. And then you become an embodiment of faith in action. Therefore, you have realized faith moving in your life with obvious evidence, not sometimes, not for seasons, but something that you live with on a second by second basis.
Yes.
That makes you the truest alchemist to be a conduit for people stuck in the liminal space.
Oh my God.
Hey, somebody hear me? I'm talking to Yvonne, but I'm talking to myself. And if I'm talking to myself, I'm talking to you. And this.
Dr. Nana, let me just really quickly tell you that God had me watching Doctor Strange, who was an alchemist. He had me just pick that movie the other day, says, watch this. And again, through a car accident, he was a narcissist. Let's be real. Dr. Strange was a narcissist. But this accident changed his life. I recognized energy, and he became the leader. So God has been speaking to me, and he's so confirming it through everything that you're saying right now. And there's a book that I purchased well over a year ago from a local store, and I have been avoiding reading this book, and it's called The Heart of the Shaman.
Ooh!
Yes. And I picked this up today to read because I know he's like, let's get going. This is where I'm.
That's it. That's it.
I don't really know. I'm just really, my canvas is so clean right now. I'm just like really adding things little by little as they come. I guess this is all a part of my emerging back into the mainstream.
Yes.
But it's like you said, it's time to stop dancing.
It's time to embrace it. It's, you see, when you're a shaman, there's a lot of shyness about admitting that you're a shaman because you don't become a shaman. You realize that you are a shaman.
Yeah.
And what's a shaman? A shaman is a truest alchemist. Whether you're working with energy or physically or with medicine, it's all soul medicine. And the journey to actually acknowledging that you're a shaman takes a lot of humility and breaking down.
I don't even know what this is all about. I know he had me buy this book, and I started. You can see where I tried to start.
Yeah, I see that. I see that.
But I was just like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. But now he's like, ready or not, it's here.
No. You're more than ready. And I'm telling you, when you embrace the path of surrender, say, I'm gonna come. I want you to see me. When you embrace the path of true surrender, surrender backed by inspired action.
Wow.
So
that's the cherry on top.
No, not. I don't feel like it. I feel like it is just, it's done. I'm gonna act as if, and I'm going to do. And you're not driven by external evidence. Of course, you iterate a shapeshift as needed, you take an input, but you're driven by internal evidence, which is internal alignment. I'm telling you, you see, Rumi says, you take the step and the path shows up. You're looking at Rumi.
Wow.
No. Everybody look. Look at your brother. So when you see me celebrating and jumping, I do that on camera, off camera with my daughter, with my older sons, and by myself. Because to be joyful in hell is to be insane, and to be insane for the divine. So this is for you, and this is for everybody. This is diamonds and gold. Woo!
Yes.
Celebrate. Be in a spirit of constant celebration. Because remember what happened outside the walls of Jericho. What happened?
Come on, they fell down, the walls came down.
What? How did they make the walls come down?
They walked around and
They walked around singing and dancing.
yes.
They walked around the walls of Jericho singing and dancing. This is what the Rastafari called word, sound, and power. The power of clapping, the power of summoning.
Sound. Positive sound. Yes.
And remember, the narcissists use spells to keep us gaslit. So we have the same power to use spells to bless.
And you know, I just want to say something to that really quickly. Recently, I found out as an African American that when my ancestors came here, there was a law passed where they could not be drunk, they could not sing, they could not do any of that. It was against the law because the narcissist knew how powerful they were.
How did many get off plantations? Through music. We won't see you again. Goodbye. Be safe down the river.
They were singing in the fields.
Singing chords.
There was, yes, codes, one accord in the fields.
So why are we not casting spells on ourselves? I am abundant. I am divine. I am a hero. I am Ruth.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Because when you practice that when you do that as a shaman, then you don't even need to speak to heal people. And the people who are designed to receive your medicine, Yvonne, they start to show up.
Yeah. And let me tell you, before my position where I was eliminated, I was told.
You were what? You were what?
Okay. When my job was eliminated, my position had been eliminated. At that time, there was like fellowship. People were coming in my office. They were sharing. There was prophecy going forth. I mean, there was a lot of positive stuff that was happening. And then when they saw me leave just in the middle of my work, they were like, what's going on? What's happening? And I'm like, it's time for me to go. They were more upset than I was because there was a connection there with a lot of people that spiritually God had me affect in some kind of way. Even to where they're calling me, even to this day, they're texting me to make sure that I'm okay.
You know, that was the divine letting you know that you have a calling. This is what it is. And when I say calling, let me be more graphic in what I mean. When you're chosen,
that comes with a lot.
You've already paid the price, Yvonne. You already have. So normalize expecting good things to happen for you. Remember what we said a few days ago? The universe is rigged in my favor. The universe is rigged in my favor. What kind of declaration is that?
Yes.
That's a declaration of power, of faith.
Yes.
The universe is rigged in my favor. And this is what is happening for you.
Yes, it is. It's rigged in my favor. When you said that the other day, I was like, that was like that last chisel that kind of broke it off and helped me really see what was really happening. Is because this isn't happening to me, it's happening for me.
I'm telling you. And before it all happens for you, everything seems to be breaking apart. But you have to remember.
But that's because it needs to be brought back.
You said it, because that is rooted in science. It's called chaos theory. Everything that happens with the divine has a scientific basis. So chaos theory.
Yes, can I just say?
Yes.
Can I say?
Yes.
For those that believe in the Big Bang, I just had a Big Bang happen in my life. Okay, can't understand how we got here, but we know there was a Big Bang.
And because
so if you want to take
exactly the Big Bang happened.
Okay.
The Big Bang happened because you were delayed. You weren't ready to hurry up.
Yeah.
You're like to be to not be. Am I kind of full time this or part time this? I don't know.
I'm happy being behind the shadows.
That's exactly no, not anymore. And because your mission is not just in Buddhism, there's something called the Bodhisattva vow. And before most people who take this vow meditate, they say something like this: may my meditation be for the benefit of sentient beings wherever they may be. And I remember I used to think that was so lofty. I thought it was so lofty. Like, what is this? This is so that's disingenuous. But then you realize that your life, when you're no longer a person, you're a spirit. Your life is not just for you. So everything you went through was the medicine that the mother father uses you to heal her people.
Yes, and they gave me the dose that I needed.
and when you have the medicine, that medicine comes with a reward.
Yes.
A big reward.
Yes.
It's double for your trouble, as the saying goes. Double for your trouble.
I receive.
I'm speaking to you, Yvonne. Double for your trouble. Double for your trouble.
And I know I'm not the only one out there who is going through this. And that's the thing about a word like this that goes across. If it registers in your spirit, receive it as well.
Do you know why? Do you know why this is meaningful to me? Because it happened to me.
Really?
Well, you see me jumping and screaming. Do you think I'm speaking from theory? Can't you see this madman has been through some mad things? Can't you see? You think we're talking about, it's gonna be okay, feel good. Oh yeah. What?
You're speaking from experience.
Everything I talk about is me.
Absolutely.
But because I am you, it is you too. Everything.
Yes.
Everything related to this long-term sentence we've all served, I've been there. So when I'm saying what I'm saying to you, I'm talking from an embodied perspective. I'm speaking from an embodied perspective, not a good intention perspective only.
Wow.
You're looking at it. You're looking at you.
And that's why that's really the gist of why we go through things as empaths, earth angels, whatever you want to call yourself, is because so that you can give an honest verbiage to somebody that's going through something.
That's it.
You're not just reading something from a textbook, but you're actually experiencing this.
That's why we go through what we. That's why my pain makes sense. I'm like, okay, all right, I get it. No arguments. It's cool.
Yes.
This is the same thing for you.
And then when you think about, like you said the other day, if one person touched someone and then you touch someone and then you touch someone, it's about the divine multiplication. That's why we're here in this 3D.
That's right.
Is to make an impact on the collective that's out there in the 3D that don't even know they're in the matrix. You
said it. And how can you speak like a general if you haven't been through war? Blessed for life.
Right.
This is not just fashion and Black Panther and Wakanda and Rastafari. This is proof of the insanity that I went through.
Yes. Yeah. This is the real deal.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. So when I speak about faith and surrender, I am speaking to you from experience, not good intention and kumbaya, it's going to be okay. So everything what I'm telling you is what happened to me. And if it happened to me, it happened to other earth angels, it's happening for you.
Yes.
Voila.
Yes.
Voila, the ripple effect. This is what it is. So this is the message. This is the message. And your spirit is strong and we love having you here. And this is what's happened to you. So life. That's why I heard it. I'm like, I don't like that. Life didn't life. Life happened for you. It didn't happen to you.
Right.
It happened for you because you were resisting, playing small.
Yes.
And you don't have to worry about next month. All you have to worry about is today.
Yes. I've learned that, and I'm learning it even more so now because of right now with the climate in the country, just trying to figure out where I fit, what am I going to do. There's a lot that I'm thinking about, that I'm learning.
The climate, they don't want there's only one climate to connect to. That's the climate within. The climate in the country was created by the collective unconscious.
Yes.
I just said something to you. It's not accidental. So what are you creating within? That's what matters.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
actually.
Go ahead.
Currently, a battle plan to combat this, and not only do that for myself, but as I go out in the world, I'm actually an assigned assassin. There's a movie coming out.
Yeah.
That's it's a John Wick spinoff, and it's a female. It's called Ballerina. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
She is like John Wick. Keanu Reeves has a big moment in the film, but it's all about her taking that spot as what he did. And I think I may want to go see that movie, because I feel like she's all alone now fighting this. She's been trained by assassins for years. Now it's her time to break out. And I identify with that. And with my years of all the abuse and learning that I've learned, now it's time for me to go out into society as an assigned assassin. I'm already equipped.
That's it.
To fight the enemy
that I
may encounter that I'm out there. I'm going to win.
It.
I may get cut, I may get bruised, but I'm coming. They're going to know that I was there.
You said it. So, Yvonne, this is really powerful. I want to hear your parting words for today until we meet again next week. What message do you have for the people?
Parting words.
For the people.
Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the roller coaster ride. As you go up and as you come down, just note that you're strapped in. You're not going to fly out and get hurt. And this ride is meant for us to learn along the way and grab what you can. Be open to the divine having you do things that you would not have felt you would have normally done, and listen to little nudges, like me even picking up this book again and reading this book. But just enjoy the moment. Don't be afraid. Watch your thoughts. Your daily affirmations are very important. And I'm actually starting to write daily affirmations as the Spirit gives them to me. I'm keeping them in notes in my phone, because I don't know if this may be a merch line that I may come out with one day that may have these affirmations on them. I don't know. We'll see.
You're
just
listening.
Be open to the divine.
You said it. And just know that we are all in this with you, and sending you lots of positive energy. And remember, you are the author of this part of the journey. You are.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. So, one love. Good to see you.
One love, sir.
Come back anytime, Yvonne.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
Bye.
Thank you. Oh, wow. The biggest, how long should you meditate? 1 minute of meditation is even more than enough. But of course, the longer you can, the better, right? This is the message, folks. Isabel, it's all about growing. That was so beautiful. The times when you have seen only one set of fruit in my child is when I carried the global. Oh, Lord. So, folks, I want to end with this tune from the great Jamaican Capoton. This is Jaja City. We have to end with some fire. And just know you are the author in your own movie. So when you're in a solitary state, know that you're being elevated. You're being refashioned. Jaja run things, Jablight. So remember, your spirit is in control. It is time. You said it, I am Rafaela. There's no one like you. I should carry the spirit within you, the spirit of a warrior, a gentle warrior. You get me? There's no one like you. No one can stop you. No one. That's it, Global. This is what it. So embrace your solitude. Keep elevating. And by the way, you can join my masterclass coming up on June 26th to 29th. You can sign up right away at my website, innermileage.com. It's going to be a powerful masterclass on escaping narcissistic abuse. 3 days, June 26th through the 29th. Sign-ups ASAP for more codes on how you break free. So, folks, I just want to send much gratitude, much love, and see you again on Monday. Monday for another live. One love, yeah? One love, one love, one love, one love, one love, one love, one love.